Alcatraz Island, ominously known as the Rock, was America's fortress of punishment, a place where the nation's most incorrigible criminals were sent to be forgotten. Surrounded by the icy, unforgiving waters of San Francisco Bay, escape was deemed impossible. Yet, on a fog-shrouded night in June 1962, 3 inmates vanished from this maximum security prison, leaving behind a mystery that has baffled authorities and intrigued the public for over 6 decades. Frank Morris, John Angland, and Clarence Angland, names that would become synonymous with one of the most daring prison escapes in history. Their meticulous plan, executed with cunning precision, challenged the infallibility of the Rock and left investigators grasping at shadows. Were they swallowed by the treacherous waters of the bay? Or did they defy the odds and reach the mainland, slipping into the fabric of society, never to be seen again? Tonight we delve deep into the enigma of the Alcatraz escape, unraveling the threads of this intricate tapestry of ingenuity, desperation, and mystery. Join us as we explore the lives of the escapees, the details of their audacious plan, the exhaustive manhunt that ensued, and the tantalizing clues that have surfaced over the years, suggesting that the truth may be more astonishing than fiction. This is the story of the Alcatraz escape, a tale of human ingenuity against insurmountable odds, a mystery that endures to this day. If stories of unsolved mysteries and daring escapes captivate your imagination, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. By joining our community, you'll gain access to a treasure trove of intriguing tales that defy explanation and delve into the unknown. Hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Your journey into the world's most perplexing mysteries begins here. Thank you for subscribing. Now, let's return to the enigmatic saga of the Alcatraz escape. To understand the magnitude of the 1962 escape, one must first grasp the formidable nature of Alcatraz itself. Established as a federal penitentiary in 1934, Alcatraz was designed to incarcerate the most dangerous offenders, those who had proven unmanageable in other prisons. Its isolated location, surrounded by the cold, swift currents of San Francisco Bay, was intended to thwart any thought of escape. The prison's architecture was a testament to security: cell blocks reinforced with tool-proof steel bars, gun galleries manned by vigilant guards, and strict routines that left little room for deviation. The very design of Alcatraz was meant to break the spirit, to enforce the notion that escape was not just improbable, but impossible. We believed Alcatraz was escape-proof. The currents, the cold water, the distance to shore, it all made the idea of escaping seem like a fool's errand. Yet, despite these daunting obstacles, the human spirit's yearning for freedom can inspire feats of remarkable ingenuity. The story of Frank Morris and the Angland Brothers is a testament to this indomitable will. In the following segments, we will delve into the backgrounds of these men, their meticulous planning, and the execution of an escape plan that has become legendary. Stay with us as we unravel the mystery of the Alcatraz escape. To comprehend the audacity of the 1962 Alcatraz escape, we must first delve into the lives of its masterminds, Frank Lee Morris and the Angland Brothers, John and Clarence. Their backgrounds, criminal careers, and previous escape attempts laid the foundation for their infamous breakout. Frank Lee Morris, born in Washington, D.C., was a man of extraordinary intelligence, with an IQ reportedly ranking in the top 2% of the population. Morris was more than just a common criminal. His life, however, was one of consistent brushes with the law. Bank robbery, burglary, and a string of escapes that earned him a reputation as a flight risk. His first known escape attempt was in Louisiana, where he managed to flee from a juvenile detention facility. Each subsequent prison stint saw Morris testing the limits of security, refining his methods, and earning a reputation as a man determined to reclaim his freedom at any cost. By the time he was sent to Alcatraz in January 1960, he had already escaped from the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary. John and Clarence Angland, brothers from Donaldsonville, Georgia, grew up in a large, close-knit family of 13 siblings. Like Morris, their criminal careers were marked by boldness and ingenuity. Initially, they dabbled in petty crimes, but it was bank robbery that ultimately sealed their fate as federal prisoners. Known for their charm and resourcefulness, the Angland Brothers worked in tandem, exploiting their bond to coordinate complex schemes. Before their transfer to Alcatraz, they had made several escape attempts, including one particularly daring effort where they soared through the bars of their cell in Florida. But their penchant for escape earned them a ticket to the Rock, the most secure prison in the country. Arriving in 1960 and 1961 respectively, the Anglands were assigned cells adjacent to Morris, a coincidence that would lead to the most infamous escape in Alcatraz's history. Together, these men, brilliant, daring, and unyielding, formed an alliance born of necessity and united by a singular goal: escape. Their plan would involve months of meticulous preparation, cunning improvisation, and an unwavering commitment to freedom. But first, they needed tools. They needed time. And most importantly, they needed to outsmart the very system designed to keep them locked away. What follows is a tale of ingenuity that would astonish even the most seasoned escape artists. The seeds of their escape were planted in December 1961 when one of the inmates stumbled upon discarded saw blades in the prison workshop. For the men, this discovery was a turning point, a sliver of opportunity in an otherwise hopeless existence. With makeshift tools, they set to work. Using a broken vacuum cleaner motor, they constructed a crude but effective drill. They painstakingly drilled holes around the ventilation grates in their cells, loosening the fixtures enough to pry them open. They worked at night, covering their tracks during the day by concealing the holes with cardboard, books, and whatever else they could find. The men were meticulous, knowing that a single mistake could expose their plan and seal their fate. Behind the cells lay a utility corridor, a shadowy, unmonitored space that became their secret passage. From here, the men accessed the prison's roof and a concealed workshop where their ultimate escape tools would take shape. Raincoats stolen from the prison were transformed into life vests and a makeshift raft. Using heat from the prison's steam pipes, they vulcanized the seams to ensure the raft could withstand the treacherous waters of San Francisco Bay. They also built paddles, crafting them from scrap wood and brass bolts scavenged from the prison. Every detail of their plan hinged on their ability to fashion these tools without attracting attention. With their equipment prepared, the men turned their attention to the final and most perilous phase of their plan, the escape itself. In the next section, we'll uncover the daring escape, the evidence left behind, and the haunting question: Did they survive? June 11th, 1962. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Alcatraz seemed as impenetrable as ever. Guards patrolled the corridors, their footsteps echoing through the cell blocks, while inmates settled into the monotonous rhythm of another long night. But inside three adjoining cells, Frank Morris and the Angland brothers were anything but asleep. Instead, they were making their final preparations for an escape that had been in the works for over 6 months. Each step was fraught with danger, each sound threatening to expose their daring plot. Their plan began with deception. Using plaster, paint, and hair stolen from the prison barber shop, they crafted lifelike dummy heads. These decoys, placed carefully on their pillows, were designed to fool guards during nighttime bed checks. With their escape tools stashed in the utility corridor behind their cells, the men slipped through the ventilation grates they had so painstakingly loosened. This hidden passage was their gateway to freedom. Once in the corridor, the trio climbed to the roof of the cell block where their clandestine workshop awaited. Here, they gathered their raft, life vests, and paddles, everything they needed for the perilous journey ahead. Reaching the roof of the prison itself was no small feat. The men shimmied up a series of pipes, pried open a ventilation shaft they had rigged with a soap and concrete bolt, and emerged into the cold night air. They navigated the rooftop carefully, avoiding the gaze of patrolling guards below. Then, using a bakery smokestack as their descent point, they climbed down to the ground and made their way to the northeast shore of the island. Here, they inflated their raft. Ingeniously, they had modified an accordion-style concertina to serve as a makeshift air pump. Time was of the essence. Every second spent on the shore increased their chances of being discovered. By the early hours of June 12th, the men had vanished into the foggy expanse of San Francisco Bay. Their makeshift raft bobbed on the frigid, turbulent waters as they paddled toward what they hoped was freedom. Back at the prison, the deception held, at least for a while. During the early morning bed check, guards mistook the dummy heads for sleeping inmates. It wasn't until one fell to the ground that the alarm was raised. The ensuing lockdown brought chaos to Alcatraz. An exhaustive search of the prison revealed the ventilation grates, the utility corridor, and the clandestine workshop atop the cell block. The escapees had left behind a tantalizing trail of ingenuity, but no sign of their whereabouts. With the discovery of their absence, the FBI, Coast Guard, and local authorities launched one of the largest manhunts in American history. Next, we followed the trail of evidence left behind: letters, life vests, and paddle fragments, and examined the theories about what might have happened to the men after they disappeared into the night. June 12th, 1962. As dawn broke over San Francisco Bay, the city awoke to one of the greatest prison mysteries of all time. At Alcatraz, the first rays of sunlight revealed the aftermath of a meticulously executed escape. Guards stood stunned as they pieced together a night of daring ingenuity, while the frigid waters surrounding the island seemed to swallow all evidence of the three fugitives. Yet, as the hours passed, a series of clues began to surface, raising tempting questions about their fate. Within days of the escape, a massive manhunt was underway. The Coast Guard, FBI, and local authorities combed the bay and its shores for any sign of the men or their raft. The first discovery came 2 days later. a sealed packet of letters floating near Angel Island. The letters, linked to John and Clarence Anglin, suggested they had made some progress across the bay. But had they reached land? Shortly after, a wooden paddle washed ashore on Angel Island itself. Authorities identified it as matching the craftsmanship of the tools left behind in the escapees' secret workshop. This finding bolstered the theory that the men had indeed paddled toward Angel Island. But it left another question unanswered. What happened after they landed? Then came one of the most intriguing pieces of evidence. A homemade life vest discovered on Cronkite Beach, north of the Golden Gate Bridge. The vest, crafted from raincoats and sealed with a heat vulcanization technique, was ingenious in design, but troubling in its implications. If the life vest was abandoned, what had become of its wearer? Did one of the men succumb to the bay's icy grip? These clues painted a fragmented picture, one that hinted at both success and failure. The paddle and letters suggested survival, while the lone life vest hinted at tragedy. Yet, for every discovery, more questions emerged. Could all three men have made it to Angel Island, or did the currents scatter them across the bay? If they survived, why was there no concrete evidence of their next steps? To understand the stakes, we must examine the challenges posed by San Francisco Bay itself. The waters surrounding Alcatraz are notorious for their powerful currents, often shifting direction unpredictably. At night, when visibility is near zero, these currents can disorient even experienced swimmers. Add to this the water temperature, a frigid 50 degrees Fahrenheit even in summer. Hypothermia sets in within minutes. Crossing the bay isn't impossible, but it's incredibly difficult, especially without proper gear or training. The tides can sweep you off course, and the cold can sap your strength before you realize it. Yet, the possibility of survival cannot be dismissed entirely. In the decades since the escape, multiple attempts to replicate the feat have yielded promising results. Swimmers have made the journey from Alcatraz to the mainland, and in 1979, 5 inmates from San Quentin successfully swam a similar distance during an escape attempt. Still, these examples raise a thought-provoking question. How much of survival is skill and how much is sheer luck? If Morris and the Angland brothers succeeded in reaching the shore, was it due to careful planning, or did fortune simply favor the bold? Over the decades, countless theories have emerged, each attempting to unravel the enigma of the escape. The official FBI conclusion, reached after a 17-year investigation, was grim. The men likely drowned in the bay. But is that the whole story? Supporters of the survival theory often point to the Angland brothers' close-knit family. Could they have relied on their relatives for assistance after the escape? While the FBI found no evidence of contact, family members later claimed to have received cryptic messages and even Christmas cards signed by the brothers. Then, in 2013, a startling revelation came to light. The San Francisco Police Department received a letter claiming to be from John Anglin. In the letter, the writer stated that all 3 men had survived the escape but were now living under assumed identities. He even offered to surrender in exchange for medical treatment, claiming to be dying of cancer. While the letter reignited public interest, its authenticity remains unproven. Handwriting analysis and forensic testing were inconclusive, leaving the case shrouded in uncertainty. Was this a genuine confession or a cruel hoax? This raises another question. If the escapees did survive, how did they evade capture for so long? Did they flee to another country? Or did they disappear into the fabric of American society, living quiet, unassuming lives? Today, the escape from Alcatraz is more than just a historical event. It's a cultural phenomenon. Visitors to the island retrace the steps of Morris and the Angland brothers, marveling at the ingenuity behind their plan and the enduring mystery of their fate. Meanwhile, the U.S. Marshal Service continues to pursue the case, holding out the faint hope that new evidence might surface. Yet, as the years pass, one has to wonder, is it the mystery itself that keeps us captivated? Would we still be as intrigued if the men had been definitively found, dead or alive? Perhaps the true legacy of the escape lies not in the answer, but in the questions it forces us to ask about human ingenuity, the pursuit of freedom, and the lengths we will go to reclaim it. More than 6 decades have passed since the night Frank Morris and the Angland brothers vanished from Alcatraz. Their escape was a masterpiece of determination, intelligence, and daring, a story that continues to resonate across generations. Did they perish in the icy waters of San Francisco Bay? Their dreams of freedom dashed by the very elements that made Alcatraz inescapable? Or did they defy the odds, reaching the mainland and disappearing into history as shadows among us? These are questions that may never be answered, but perhaps that's the true allure of their story. The Alcatraz escape is a reminder of the human spirit's boundless yearning for freedom. It challenges us to consider the price of liberty and the ingenuity born of desperation. For Morris and the Angland brothers, their escape is a testament to the unrelenting pursuit of a better life, even in the face of insurmountable odds. But the mystery endures, leaving us with one final question. Do we admire their courage, or do we caution against their defiance? Perhaps the answer lies not in what they did, but in how their story continues to captivate and inspire us. What do you think happened to Frank Morris and the Angland brothers? Did they survive the treacherous waters and live out their days in secrecy? Or did the cold, unforgiving currents of the bay claim their lives? Let us know your theories in the comments below. If you're fascinated by unsolved mysteries like this one, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Every week, we dive into stories that defy explanation, offering deep analyses, compelling evidence, and thought-provoking discussions. By subscribing, you'll join a community of curious minds eager to unravel the unknown. And don't stop here. Check out our playlist of other unsolved cases, each one more intriguing than the last. Who knows? Maybe you'll uncover a detail that solves one of history's greatest mysteries.